founder of Chain ID, and it is a great honor to have this online section with our friends. I host this Web3 build a mixture to connect more builders in the Web3 world. Today, I invite Patrick, the organizer of Ethereum Dubai and Web3 Dubai, and Ramsey, the team member of Coffee with Crypto and the founder of Unbundle. And both of them are my good friends, and I want them to share the topics about UAE Web3 builders. So now it's your time. First, I think we'll go with Patrick. Can you share your screen?
Yes, I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Wait a moment. Let me see. Everything's good. I think you can first stop the screen sharing, then you can reshare to try if everything's good. Yeah, okay. Do it again. Yeah, this time is good. Cool. We can see Ethereum Dubai. So now it's your time.
Okay. Can you still see it?
Yeah, nice and perfect.
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Patrick, and I developer, Web3 developers. I do React, Next.js, and also Solidity and all kinds of languages. So in Dubai, I organize the Eat Dubai community, which the goal of it is to build a dev community in Dubai around the Web3 space. And well, I'm going to talk to you a bit about how I do it. So it's not very easy to build a dev community in Dubai because there are not a lot of devs in Dubai, and devs are introverts, so they don't like to meet or go out. So we try to do a few things in order to improve this. So yeah, so as I said, we try to gather all parts of Web3, all the different parts of the Web3 community in Dubai. We also try to we want people to be able to meet projects and founders that are successful in this area, or even those who are just getting started. But it comes with challenges because each part has very different tribes, and we try to make everyone happy together. So as you probably know, the Web3 universe is made up of different parts. So there's blockchain, security, DeFi, smart contracts, NFT, DAOs, and also real-world assets and metaverse. So this is a little bit of an overview if you're not familiar with all the topics related to Web3. So many are developers, but there are also entrepreneurs, artists, traders, and more. And I guess the most successful part of the Web3 one in Dubai is mostly, I guess, NFTs, metaverse, but there's also a lot of trading, of course. And there's also an uptick in real-world assets, so there are a lot of people doing real estate and things like that. So we try to have a dev focus because in Dubai, most blockchain meetups are marketing or people sharing their projects, and it's not very technical. There's no talks about programming in general. So we try to differentiate because devs don't like marketing-driven meetups or non-technical talks. So the way we do this is we try to have technical dev talks. So we had talks about the Huff assembly language. We had talks about Sushi Bento Box. We had some Ethereum core developers coming to talk about the Rust client Sakura. We had to talk about EIP 4626. And so we show line of codes in slides, and devs like this. So this is one of the way we attract devs. Another thing is we try to highlight interesting dev speakers. So when we have semi-famous people coming, we try to advertise it so that people that are like-minded come to the meetup, developers, I mean. And we also use kind of trick, because when you organize a blockchain meetup in Dubai, it attracts lots of people who are not very technical at all. They just think it's like blockchain or about trading or meme coins or whatever. So when devs come to those meetups, they're not very happy because they cannot talk to other people about dev stuff. And we want devs to be like comfortable talking about things they actually do in their like day job, programming, technical things. And so the way we filter out people is we have like a smart contract that people need to actually call through a function. So they need to be familiar with the basic Web3 tooling. We don't make it super difficult, but we want people to have like basic knowledge of using a wallet, calling a contract function. And then the goal of this is to like filter people with zero knowledge in tooling at least. And it's not very difficult to call the smart contract, but it's a great filter, I think. We don't always use it, but sometimes we use it. So this is what it looks like. So there's a website where people can see the address of the contract. And by calling the contract, they can RSVP and see the secret location of the meetup. So it's fun and not very difficult. And we also have an option where people can just click on the button with MetaMask. So like we ask people to at least be familiar with MetaMask, even if they do not know how to call the contract. Yeah, so yeah, the goal of the meetup is to have like weekly meetups every Sunday. So we try to build and gather the local dev community around Web3 and do some networking and also presentations. So sometimes it's just networking, we just meet in a bar, and sometimes we do some presentation. We also try to be non-commercial and independent, so there is no big company behind each meetup shilling their project. It's just us. I'm just a dev, and we just have fun with other devs. And we also have to be like a friendly atmosphere and to be hospitable to everyone coming. So even if some non-technical people are here, or if you're a newbie, you're still welcome. We'll be totally cool with it. So the community today is like 3,000 members on Telegram. We have about 10K followers on Twitter. We have 20 to 50 attendees per meetup weekly. Depends, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And we also run the annual conference, which is it by conference each in spring. So we get about 2,000 attendees. And we have like big speakers like Andrew Cronje, a lot of Ethereum core developers, and it's a lot of fun. You have sponsors, of course. And so what the secret sauce if you want to organize like a community like this? Well, first you need, it's like a circle. You need several things. You need a venue. You need first to book a venue. So you can try to book a venue at a local startup or a co-working space or just a bar. And then you need to contact speakers. You need to reach out to as many speakers as you can. In order to have some technical speakers, it's a bit difficult. So you can like try to reach out to technical founders. They are usually very interested in talking about their project, the technical aspect of the project. You can ask your colleagues, your friends. If there's a conference, you can try to go there and try to catch some speakers. Then you need to promote it. So just do whatever you can on Twitter, by email, chat, Telegram, whatever you can. You can use POAP, you can use NFTs to attract people. And then there's the event. During the event, you just need to have a good team with you to help you with the RSVP and welcome people. And yeah. So yeah, that's in conclusion, like what you need is a good team, passion, and like to have fun. We also started like something called Decrypt Pro, where we help people set up in Dubai. So if you have like your own company, we can help you get your visa and stuff. So yeah, that's it. If you want to build your own document, I would say just do it and have fun. Thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, it is really interesting when you say the key secret is like you need to have passion, you need to have fun. Just joking. So I have several questions from the community. The first one is, do you have any plans this year to expand your community and to attract more builders?
Yeah. So let me stop sharing my screen. Can you see me? One second. Yeah. So yeah, we try to. I mean, we always want to extend the community as much as we can. The reason we do the meetup every Sunday is because in Dubai, people they often only stay for a few weeks. There's a lot of people coming and going. So in order to catch everybody, we try to meet every Sunday because there's always someone asking, "Oh, I'll be in Dubai for 2 to 3 days. Is there an event today?" So we're always here. And yeah, we try to be as consistent as possible. And we also want to maybe build something with other communities, like looking at maybe it's Shanghai, I don't know, you tell me, or we can maybe build something with other communities in the region. I mean, in the Eastern region, I mean, and maybe build some alliance to build something bigger.
Yeah, definitely. You should work with Eastern Shanghai and yeah, China. Yeah, you should do that. Of course.
I heard there's a nice guy in charge of East Shanghai. I don't know.
Yeah, cool guy. And next week he will also invite into this builder mixture. So the second question will be with an increased number of builders choosing to become digital nomads. So have you noticed an increase of the numbers in travelers and builders coming to UAE in the recent years?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of people who are, as I said, they come to the Telegram and they tell us, well, we'll be in Dubai for 4 days, for 1 week. Is there a meetup? And then we said, yes, we're there. So there are absolutely a lot of digital nomad at the meetups. I would say maybe like 1/3 of people coming to the meetup is always a digital nomad.
Cool. So could you tell me a story about the builder in your community and you think he's a cool Web3 guy? Share a story about him.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, there's this guy from Sushi, Sarang, who is like a co-contributor. He used to be, he's been in the blockchain scene since like he was very young because he was doing internship at the Consensus, I think like 5 years ago. And yeah, he's like very hardcore core developer, and he knows a lot of people, and he's always cool. I mean, has a lot of knowledge. So it's always fun to talk to him. Also, like some core developer from Phantom, Artem, I think his name is. He's also a very cool guy. And of course, yourself.
Cool. Okay, so thank you, Patrick. I think this is a nice and clear keynote, and you do share a lot of things about Ethereum Dubai and Web3 Dubai. And I want to let all the communities outside UAE to know there's a cool event in UAE. Next time, if you want to join, you should definitely join Patrick's event. And our next speaker will be Ramsey, and Ramsey is the core contributor and team member of Coffee's Crypto, and also the founder of Unbundle, really good incubator. And I think I will leave the time for Ramsey. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Hi everybody. My name is Ramsey. I think Zhao already made a good intro. I'm just going to share my screen. I'll just talk a little bit about Unbundle and what we try to do there, and then in relation with the dev community here. And that should be, I think, good enough for now. Yeah, there. Is it visible?
Yeah, nice and clear.
Yeah. Okay, so if you can't hear me very well, it's because I'm down with a little flu. We tested, it's not COVID, and everybody's safe, even though you're safe already. Yeah, so Unbundle is basically unbundling the Web3 and AI VC, but mostly ecosystem. We focus primarily on the rest of the world. Oh, I don't know what that happened here. I should click it. We're a market network for the Web3 and AI ecosystem, and it's for the rest of the world. Now, the lawyer basically forced me to say the rest of the world because we really focus on between, like, let's say Morocco to Japan and Eastern Europe. And that's not because we're against anyone. Anything. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that the coordination in like the US, North America, in Western Europe is just much better. We have amazing talents in this region. We have capital. We have problems that AI and blockchain could basically help resolve. And so our biggest focus is to basically unbundle it. And if we unbundle it, I'll just take you through, it's not a real pitch deck, it's like a more of a presentation on what we do. Yeah, I'll just keep just going. I think, so the current state of the Web3 and AI ecosystem, especially here, scouting and curation is probably the biggest challenge. We saw that it's in its nation state, and capital mostly is concentrated in North America and Western Europe. Investors always have a problem with finding the right deal flow, and it's curated. I think Patrick just mentioned something great where he said, you know, UAE is becoming a very important throughput hub from the east to the west and vice versa. But yeah, we noticed and we saw, like, I've been here, coming here for many years and live here now for a few years in the UAE. And then you had the nonsense level was a bit high, and that's decreasing. So you have more better developers coming here and staying here, whether they're crypto refugees or not, that's irrelevant. But their focus is usually, you know, the system around it and the ecosystem around it, and being able to vet it and go through it is kind of difficult today. Exceptional talents are difficult to find and judge. And then we see that investors in general have a big impact on young founders, and we try to basically level the playing field a little bit. So those are the problems that we've seen and what we attract and focus on. You know, the ecosystem, like support system, everybody's always looking for funding, especially here as well, because everybody, I think, just thinks, you know, it's an oil country that has a lot of money, and you know, this market is becoming very sophisticated at a rapid scale. But then, you know, we travel a lot throughout the region and go to all these dev conferences and hackathons. And then we really saw also that there's a bunch of very smart people that build things that, you know, even in a hackathon, and then it just stays in the pitch deck phase or with a little bit of code and never really develops because there's no real support system. And so we try to basically modularize it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. For us, and then, you know, even in the UAE, you see a big, you see a lot of conferences, and actually the only one that's really good, and it's not to say other ones are bad, it's just to say that the ones that only is really dev focused and really has content is Patrick's E2Buy. You see actual good speakers. Zhao, you were a speaker there and sponsored there. You know how it works over there. And then we just see that there's a lot of talent in this region, and obviously they come here because it's like the closest thing to home. There's a big throughput in that, and for us on Unbundle, we just try to dissect it. So it's Web 2.5 and it's going to Web 3 now, where we basically focus on investors, startups, and scale-ups, and then a big focus on talent and service providers, which is very difficult. It's curated, so you're not going after 1 billion users. There's some elements that I'll go to over in a little bit, but our focus is, we saw that there's a lot of incubators, even here in this region. And, you know, everybody has these cohorts constantly. And we have actually a bunch of no startups with us that went through some big incubators, and they're just dumped. I mean, it's good for them to learn how it is, and they dump mostly on them a bunch of mentors, and they try to teach them. But we know that, and I think Patrick just mentioned something very interesting, where the character of a very good developer, and most, not all, of course, are somewhat introverts, and they don't need to really be all over the place. And it's good to build people around them that can actually do it and push it forward. I mean, I always say code is law. That's good, but the focus is really, you know, blockchain is people at the end of the day. It's how much transaction is there, how much usage is there, and what problems you're solving. So For us, it's a cloud-based modular incubator. So you don't have to go through a whole phase. And we'll basically assess what you have and how you do it and what kind of people we're dealing with, and then plug in what they need in order to grow and scale up. And then we have a DAO and a revolving venture fund. But that's basically phase 4, where we really focus on layer 1s. That's a whole different topic. We'll have to do it another time, I guess. So for us, curated projects, we curate it based on how VCs look at it. So we have the 5 Ds, and we have a bigger framework for that. There's tools and network that we try to give access to. They have access to investors. So not all investors are equal. You have people that actually have smart money in this region that really can help. We provide them with at least preference in grants and an accelerator program. And they can also hire talent. What I mean with talent is not everybody that can write Solidity or Rust. It's also talent with, depending on, of course, your project. It focuses on, having access to some cryptographers, behavioral economics, applied mathematicians, you name it. Investors, so the pros for investors are you get a profile which is basically curated and structured in such a way that your due diligence becomes a bit easier. For the smaller ones, they have a support system how to do it. We have valuation models, but also we saw a lot in angel investors. They don't really have, we have a lot of angel investors here in UAE as well. And they don't want to be known for whatever reason, either they work for a company or not. So as long as we know who they are and we find them, they could be anonymous, but we have to make sure that there's no scams and stuff. So we really have to vet everything properly. I know everybody's talking about scalability, but I'll get to the scalability in a little bit. And we've helped some VCs also do like a smaller roadshows to find LPs. They can have a one-on-one interaction. So we have a bunch of little tools that really help them out. And Dark Radar is actually one of the things that came out of the incubator that really tracks one token. So it's not like all the other ones that tracks wallets. And you can see basically what they do and how they do it. I think I should go a little bit faster. And so service providers, it goes back into not only like developers or support as a developer, but it's also market makers and basically everywhere there's a portion that is also reputation management. And we integrate ZK tools to basically do that, like Sysmo. And for everyone, it's like you decide if you want to be public or private. So if you want to be publicly or privately listed. And then exceptional talent, I think I mentioned it already, you have to be able. So what we saw also is you have a lot of Asian developers. They don't get paid nearly as close as what Europeans or American developers get paid. While the competence is equal or sometimes most of the time even better. So, blockchain basically enables that to transact without borders. And we saw that, it really helps out a lot of people. We're really focused on developers and making sure that they're comfortable and they get their value. And I think that's the most important part. Let me just continue because. So one of the parts is the network. I think during my last visit to India, East India, I noticed that, I found a lot of very smart founders, mostly developers. I mean, you can teach them how to do tokenomics and marketing and everything. It's just not in them. And I think you need to support them rather than just teaching them these things. And then sometimes I noticed that we had talks with a few of them and they just needed access to a protocol. I mentioned the name right now, but and it just took me like 2 seconds to call them up and say that you should really look at them. And they got traction immediately after that. And I think that's access to network is something that you could aggregate and you give access to, but you have to make sure that people stay incentivized and not to abuse it either. So what we basically do is our network, we just put it on there. And people can also contribute to that, of course. And you don't know who put the person there, but you can request an intro. And if I like what you guys are doing, we just do the introduction. And that really helps out, at least unlocking some value for everyone. And it has to be win-wins at all time. If not, it's not really sustainable. And the rest is what I call makeup. So there's a research library, it's a tech stash for a lot of like little tools that really people don't know about. I get that question all the time. We just closed Zilliqa as a layer 1. So they'll have access to grants and they'll be a partner in there. We have a bunch of other layer 1s. I get the question a lot, I need an NDA or I need a SAFT agreement or whatnot. So we have this legal room where people can download and contribute as well. And then events, it's a curated event, so you won't find a lot of events on there, but you'll find the ones that are really worth it. And most entirely basically on this region only. And there's a bunch of more stuff coming out there real soon. The market is huge. I mean, I just mentioned, like, between UAE and KSA, and I think Qatar, you have $3.5 trillion of investable money. It's ridiculous. It's if you look at how much money is there and how much money is able to circulate, it's ridiculous. It just needs to have that right format, right? So they, you know, if I say they, I mean, in the West, you see more a very well coordinated system, right? You have YC, you have Silicon Valley, and top universities. And if you look at the talent, it's a lot from here, like Chinese, Indian, Iranian, even Israeli. It's all in this region. And basically, they have also, of course, Wall Street. So that coordination is amazing. And I think we can help, at least when it comes to that, in the Web3 and AI space. How do we get there? So we start with a market network platform, the dashboard, and data collection. So our focus is data most of the time. And then we have this matching algorithm that enables it. But we will move it on chain because that makes it more scalable. And what we want to use is DCR, so token curated registries, and able to do the vetting and incentivize the vetting and aligning them. I think the next slide is that. Our growth strategy, again, focus. We're doing actually, hopefully by the end of the month, with Chain ID and Alibaba, a workshop in Abu Dhabi, so that basically people know what we're doing as well as Chain ID, and giving them basically access to the network, because we're trying to build up hubs in different countries, and we have a few already rolling out. And then, yeah, okay, so I don't like having tokens. I mean, everybody has a place in the ecosystem. Even meme coins have a place, even though whether you like it or not. I mean, it has a place. And what we did is now a point system where we incentivize people on how to contribute or take or use the platform in that sense. Oh, I need to take a sip. Sorry, guys. So why hasn't this been done yet? Well, I mean, quite a few people are trying it. I think everybody's skipping the part. Everybody's, I know a few of them are doing rolling funds, which is like AngelList, and then the rolling funds came after. We just focus on the data, and again, we curate as much as we can, and so it's not basically for the focus. And I think the timing is also very interesting. If I look at our focus is pretty like constrained, and then you can also see the timing has arrived. I mean, if I look at today, I don't know if that's true, by the way, but like Binance is pulling out of Canada, and I think most of I mean, in the last week we saw Coinbase focusing on this region, wanted to set up. You have Ripple's putting their headquarters in this region, or UAE. So UAE has been very, very skillful and very smart, and I think it's part of the leadership and how they're progressive, and they enable a lot. And so that jumping board function is really, the timing is everything, I guess, when it comes to that, and they've been very successful at that. So for us, the timing is good. All the elements and all the ingredients are there, so that really makes sense. The TCR, I mentioned it a little bit, token curated registries, incentivize vocal mechanism, but we also want to integrate a milestone-based releases so that eventually investors can also be comfortable in how they release money. Yeah, I mentioned that too. So the focus areas, it's not that we're like against any part. So we have one even from the UK and one from France, and they're basically based. I know why Patrick is smiling, and it's okay, but we have, but they're actually in part of a labs here in Abu Dhabi, so that they have a real outward looking for this region. But of course, we want to expand that as well. Okay, so the deep dive, that's a real deep dive, but I guess I showed that originally a little bit already in our partners. I think, okay, yeah, and then Zhao mentioned it already, crypto with coffee. I think I'm just as dedicated at crypto with coffee as on Sunday, which is on Saturdays in Dubai. as I'm dedicated to Patrick's meetups on Sundays. I think I provide most of the entertainment. But Coffee with Crypto actually started, Dr. Anish Mohammed and Don, and then we came on. And it was just to talk about research papers, and it grew with Marcos and Sam, and then Zhao as well now, and Alibaba, Ali from Alibaba, and then we have Daria and Olga as well, Xerox. And what we and it's somewhat similar. It's also to a certain extent dev focused and also like architecture focused. And we have also some speakers sometimes. I think we steal them sometimes from Patrick. No, that's not true. I think Anish has been in the space for a very long time. It's an amazing network, and you see this throughput of people. It's good to collect at least big important guys that played a big role in the development of blockchain, and that's something we're doing pretty well. And then especially with Ali and Zhao coming in, it opens again a new market, and we try to aggregate that all process about the UAE from that perspective. But of course, expanding that is very interesting. Our team is for Unbundle is pretty well spread. We have Emiratis and pretty much all the countries I've mentioned before. We have somebody from there either as an advisor or on the core team. And there are people that worked at Uniswap, and we're having a guy maybe now from Consensus as well. So the team is expanding and it's going fast. So that's a good thing. Have I missed something? I just keep talking. Yeah, well, when I was mentioning this area, there's one thing I just want to highlight is that what we there's a trend. So it's not all just we want this area or this region. There's also actually a data trend, right? Mega cities of the world in 2030 are going to be Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. It'll suck a lot of resources. So with that, there's a lot of problems and issues the blockchain can solve. So that's why we, aside from being from the region, it also makes like there's a logic behind it as well. And I think that's it. I think that's more than I can do. I think we have a bunch of questions as well. No?
Yeah. We have few questions, and also, I mean, if Patrick, if you want to ask, I think this should be very chill. I mean, just for communication and anything. Yeah, I mean, both of you are my good friends, and I think we met in Dubai, and you can talk about jokes every day. I mean, for in this kind of channel, you're more like a little bit serious, but it's okay. So I just have few questions I will first ask, then Patrick, you can ask if you want. So the first thing is the similar questions. Do you have any plans this year to expand your community and attract more builders? I think you give us some of the plans, like go to Indonesia, and also I heard about the Ethereum India. You told me a lot of times. It should be a great community, and if possible, we also would like to invite them to share the East India about what is Indian developers are building. But we still want to hear more. What's your plan this year?
Yeah, so we have we partnered up with a company here that has a lot of real estate, and they do a lot of tech investments as well. And they're basically very well spread in India. India is not a country, it's like a continent. It's like, I think now it's surpassed China in terms of population. So you have 1.5 billion. Of course, even if 1% is a good developer, it doesn't mean you have the best, obviously. So you really have to curate and drill it down. But it has interesting concentrations, in my opinion, of what I've seen. I'm sure I overlooked a few points because I think the Indians will all start messaging now. No, this city is also good. But of course, Bangalore is a very interesting one. It had a good learning curve in the last. It was the BPO of the world, so it has an interesting learning curve, and it became a concentration of very smart developers as well. Hyderabad. You have also some amazing universities that have like a spillage of great developers that basically quit and do their own stuff. So Hyderabad, and you have a bunch of very interesting cities. I think that one is interesting. I think Turkey is also very interesting, in Indonesia. And basically, we have a roadmap on how to deploy and who to partner up with just to spread it, because there's no point in developing everything yourself. I think that would be the answer to that.
Oh, cool. And what advice would you give to global Web3 builders if they want to come to UAE and expand their market and they want to connect to more builders? I mean, what steps should they take?
So I think UAE is like probably the best jumping board to this whole region, because it has probably the most nationalities in the region, and it's very cohesive, and it's very safe. And so there's all these points as a country is all big pluses. And as my close good friend always tells me, there's only two seasons. There's summer and there's super summer. So now we're getting into the super summer. So that's kind of maybe difficult for some people. But at the end of the day, everything is like, I'm wearing long sleeves and it's like 45 degrees, I think, today outside, because everything is air conditioned. So they really build an infrastructure that you really can cope with everything in terms of environment. And then from a developer's perspective, you have great meetups. I think, like I mentioned before, Coffee Crypto and E2Buy are for me the best ones. We get in trouble with everyone, but and then yeah, you have companies like Decrypt that help do the infrastructure for you to come here. You have Unbundle probably that they can also help with some of the network access. So there's some building blocks that you could use it, and I think that's great.
Okay, so Patrick, do you have any questions? I mean, you can ask for each other if you want, or you can fight each other. Just
that will happen for sure.
No, I mean, just, do you need some cough syrup or something?
I have.
Okay, so maybe I will have the final questions for both of you, the last questions. I mean, yes, we thank you for all the information about the builders ecosystems and cultures in UAE. And could you tell us more about the builders community in the Middle East outside UAE? Because for East Asia builders, it's very, I mean, interesting for us to know more things about the Middle East. But more of us, we stay in Asia. We have no ideas about UAE and also other countries outside UAE, like Jordan, like Egypt, like India, just you mentioned. So if you can give us some more information about the countries, the builders around UAE, that would be perfect. Is that possible?
I think, Zhao, you have the best insight. I know you travel to Kashi, you travel to a lot of places, and you actually have like an immediate connect with a lot of developers. But
yeah, but I mean, I just travel, but I think you get deep connections with more of them. Of course, you told me the Mansour in Egypt. I mean, there are some builders small in some small cities, but they are genius or something. I mean, that is really interesting.
yeah, Pat, you want to take this one, or you want me to start?
Yeah, I mean, developers, they're kind of the same everywhere. You just work with the laptops; they can work everywhere. And in the Middle East, obviously, many of them are working for companies that are from Europe or the US to get better salaries. But there are also a lot of people working on their own startups, so that's also interesting. And yeah, I mean, it's similar to India. Like, you have lots of developers working for foreign companies, and also some interesting startups.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look at the region, I think you're referring to a discussion we had before, Joe, where I said, there's amazing mathematicians and good developers from Morocco and Egypt is one. But it doesn't mean that the other ones don't have it. They have maybe even better ones. That's what I've seen. Turkey has very interesting ones, and for us, it ties back into maybe history, probably. That's the discussion. And then you look at the Sham, like Syria, Lebanon, and Israel, and Jordan. That's like an enclave of very good developers. Iranians are also, I mean, yes, they are shut to a certain extent of the world, but they have great developers as well. I think most of the people use, UAE again also as a type of jumping board, at least the top ones, and they connect throughout the region. And I don't think there has been such a big structural push into collecting them and basically helping them, enable them to go to market in a big region. And I think that's still something that we're trying to focus on. Other people as well will be focused on that. And you can see that with the demographics at Patrick's event in E2Buy, for example. How many nationalities do you have there, Pat?
Oh, okay, cool. So I have no more questions from my side, and if you do not have more questions, I think that will be our first Web3 Builder Mixture. And next week we will invite Suji from ECM Shanghai and also Shaw from Onchain. They are kind of the biggest developer community in Japan. So you also would love to invite you to listen to their build mixture. So I will also invite more friends to come. And I think it is a great time. I mean, it's a kind of bear market, but it's a great time to connect every builders together to share information, share visions, and their thinkings about Web3. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I mean, thank you for your help. Thank you,
for having
Ramsey.
us.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Bye.
Hey.